back, and we're continuing our conversation with Bill Walton, one of the highlights of our week each week, the host of the Bill Walton Show, a terrific uh, online platform. Bill, we were talking about this ambitious effort the Chinese are making to really overtake us in every regard, and patents and defense innovations and defense contractors, defense industrial capacity are all sort of manifestations of just the military character of this competition now. For the longest time, it was mostly taking place in sort of the economic warfare domain, or the political warfare, or the information battle space, if you will. But now it's out in the open. What did the Chinese defense minister say to Lloyd Austin that puts a pretty fine point on what they have in mind vis-a-vis the kinetic form of warfare now as well?
Well, the Chinese made it plain in this meeting that they don't exactly think that Joe Biden got it right when he said that the United States would do everything we could to defend Taiwan. And in fact, forced Austin essentially to back down in the meeting to say, well, we didn't really mean it. We still believe in the one China policy. And so Austin was engaging in equivocation while the Chinese were engaging in a direct threat that unless we back down, well, it really doesn't matter. Their aims are to take Taiwan hook or crook. Now, this is in a context, Frank, where the Biden administration has shown weakness on all fronts. I mean, the latest thing we're seeing is this desperation move to bring solar panels under the defense, what is it, DPA, to rush solar panels into production. At the same time, they want to drop tariffs on bringing Chinese and other internationally manufactured solar panels in the United States. This is putting lipstick on a pig, Frank. What they're doing is they're trying to cover up the fact that the Biden administration has been root cause for the 10, 15% inflation we're seeing in the United States. And let's look at how that came about. You had the Fed and the Treasury conspiring to work together to have the Fed buy about $3 to $4 trillion of the money that went out in payments last year, the which was incredibly inflationary. And then on the supply side, the lockdowns through the last 2 years, and now the sanctions, which are causing shortages or causing supply chain issues, which is reducing supply at the same time we get an increase of money for demand. And the agenda that the Biden administration has is an all government assault on the domestic fossil fuel industry, and trying to whip a few solar panels into place to solve our energy shortages doesn't work. The technology isn't available to make the massive differences that the loss of fossil fuel would be, and the Chinese know that, and they are
Well,
licking their chops.
and for the foreseeable future, with or without the Defense Production Act, it appears we will be requiring supply chains from China, if not of the full panels themselves, certainly of the rare earth minerals that are needed to make those panels, I think. And Bill, I escaped with my life in both undergraduate and graduate programs, my exposure to economics. But it doesn't seem to me to make any sense at all if you're actually trying to build up your domestic industrial capacity to be facilitating your principal competitor, namely the Chinese communists, to flood your market with cheap panels, in this case, solar panels. Am I missing something here, or is this seemingly just um, trying to have it all ways, but actually doing so in a way that's likely to be unsuccessful?
Well, it can't work to replace the loss of fossil fuel production and all the steps that the Biden administration has taken to shut it down.
Hmm.
And this is an attempt to mask what the real agenda is. The real agenda is to get America free of fossil fuels. And the price for that, and they'll freely admit, is a much diminished standard of living. Housing, transportation, food, all the things that we count on are the victims of this policy. And it's a, use our word, it's a globalist agenda. It's an elite agenda. It's part of the global reset. And what we're seeing is with the fossil or with the solar panel move is just is a way to kind of throw some gloss on it. But the fact is, it's a pretty ugly picture we're looking at with the Biden administration's agenda in full force.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, Bill. Let me ask you finally. Your thinking about whether the Fed is going to continue to raise interest rates. We're told that that's the plan. Um, if they do so, Bill, it seems as though one of the things that's going to be a predictable upshot of that is we're going to find uh, a terrible squeeze on so-called discretionary spending by the federal government. More and more money is going to have to go
Well,
to servicing the debt, and one of the discretionary items that will suffer presumably is our military expenditure program. No,
what they're doing with our money is not a blunder; it's a crime. I mean, what they've done with the federal budget deficits, which they're financing through the Fed purchases, is increased inflation. But what's interesting thing people should understand: inflation is going to cause the Fed to raise rates because that's the traditional way you fought inflation. Raising rates is going to raise the interest rate on the federal debt, which is already running. We're paying about 350, $400 billion a year on interest. With interest rates rising and just with the CBO projections, we could end up with the interest on the debt swamping every other expenditure. In fact, the CBO has said that if interest payments would total over 60 trillion dollars over the next 60 years and would take up nearly half of all federal revenues by 2050. So this
wow,
is the course they've set us on. And
Bill. This is a course to which we will return with you next week. I think it's unbelievably impactful in terms of well, our national security, among other things. Bill Walton, thank you for what you do for us as well as the Bill Walton Show. I look forward to talking with you again next week. We look forward to talking with the rest of you again tomorrow, same time, same station. Until then, this is Frank Gaffney. Thanks for watching.